Ready?
Right. Oh, hello everyone.
Uh,
Uh, Welcome back to the Larter Show.
Welcome everyone. Sorry for the little hiatus. I got sick and then it was Thanksgiving,
Yeah, it do be like that sometimes.
but we're back and rearing to go.
Let me turn on the face cam
Alrighty.
and then chat. Look at that. There's chat. And today
Oh boy.
is we're actually gonna bring up Spotify for this one. Hold
Really?
on. Yeah,
Is that allowed?
yeah, I think so. I don't think we'll get claimed for pulling up Spotify.
Yeah, we'll just get doxxed.
We'll get doxxed.
Yeah, 'cause you'll know the Spotify, they'll know your address from it.
True. Well, anyway, to today's episode, we got five of our favorite albums prepared to tell
Yep.
y'all why they're our favorite albums, and we love them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh,
Yes.
so it was just an idea I had. I think we did this for movies while we were like at K&M,
Mm.
and I
I
just thought,
vaguely remember that.
I Lars has always told me he's bad with lists, making
Yep.
lists, which makes
Yep.
sense. I mean, like I have trouble with that too sometimes, especially with music. But I decided for this one, I kind of made it so where like these are just not necessarily my five favorite albums, but five albums that I love and are like among my favorites, and just like five albums that are. I try to do a mix of different genres, and each album I choose is from a different decade. So I think my list is interesting. I mean, there are two. I will say there are two albums from the same genre, but they're different, like
Mm.
subgenres. So,
Okay. Okay.
so there, it is five different genres. But anything you. Oh, and one more thing I want to say about my list, real quick, is I'm not mentioning Blonde because we did a whole episode on that, but as that is my favorite album. So,
Mhm.
uh, how about you, Lars? Anything you want to say about your list before we start?
Yeah, I got plenty to say. So, I'd say my difficulty with list making is mainly like I think I've been able to narrow it down more as I've thought about it longer, and it's like it's hard for me to rank things against each other or give things numerical like representations of how good I think they are, mainly because I think I get different things out of different types of music or different genres of movie or whatever. Like I derive enjoyment in different ways from them. And also like it's hard for me to stack up my enjoyment levels in a quantitative way. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
think maybe there are some things that I could more easily say like, well, I definitely like this more than this. But like when it comes to the stuff I really like, it definitely just depends on the mood, how recently I, enjoyed the thing and you know, other factors that I think don't necessarily factor into like an objective quality or like something that I'd feel comfortable being like, this is the X of all time. And so for those reasons, my five favorites are kind of more like about five albums that I really like, that I all think are amazing, that shaped my taste in music. That's kind of the way I approached it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean,
Hmm.
like, there is no objectivity in art, so it's like, uh, it's like all these lists are going to be like just like personal favorites. I mean, I
Yeah.
will say I'm a little basic with my taste sometimes, so uh, these are all like every album I chose is a very acclaimed and beloved album. It's just these are my five favorites. So yeah, or five of my favorites.
Yeah, I would say mostly the same, except there's I think only one that's even possibly controversial. But We're both Larter, and this is the show.
True.
Uh,
So, do you want to start with
um,
yours? Your first one?
yeah. So yeah, I decided I'd go in chronological order from when I heard these, and the very first personal favorite. Actually, you know what? Let's make it my impersonal favorite, my objective favorite.
True.
Uh, the first one is Discovery by Daft Punk.
Oh, and I'm gonna pull them up on Spotify so you have a bit of a visual reference. Uh,
Oh yeah.
but they changed the cover for Discovery. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, it's the anime one. Bring up the real one. Bring up the real one. But yeah, so this album holds a special place in my heart for a number of reasons. One, it's really good. I think one thing that definitely put this in, you know, competition with all the records I've listened to is that one, this is maybe one of the albums that I've spent the most amount of time with. Like, I remember seeing, did you ever see the video where it's like,
Yeah,
work
of
it,
course.
do like, like that one? I saw that YouTube video, and then I remember listening to the album shortly after, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then the first time I ever got a record player, this was the first vinyl that I got with my record player. So I listened to it a bunch of times after that. Um, and it's still something that I enjoy to this day. And I don't think I can say that about a lot of the music that I liked back then. That like, I mean, I can say that there's stuff that I enjoyed. Like, I really used to like the Gorillas a lot, and I still like them, but like, I just don't listen to them that much.
Mm,
But I could throw on Discovery like anytime, and I'd enjoy it, I think. And it's just like, I don't know, it has like a really timeless quality, and it mixes a lot of cool genres that I think, I don't know, it just like it was very formative, I think, for the kind of music that I'd like later on, with a lot of like heavy electronic stuff, but like still kind of like a pop backbone. So, uh, yeah, I love that album. I can, I loved it back then, love it now. I would say especially because it was my first vinyl. I think, yeah, it made me look at music differently. Um,
yeah,
and
or
yeah,
do you have anything more to say
that's
or
about it.
I just wanted to say this could have easily been in my five. Uh,
Hmm.
it is honestly probably the first album I ever truly loved. Uh, and honestly, and like Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, I had a similar thing where I found that song through Flipnote. Uh,
Mm,
and just later on when I first got Spotify, I like listened to all the songs on this album. And I loved them all, and like Daft Punk was one of the first groups I really got into. And
hmm.
like I think this album is it's undeniable. It's so good, and like uh, it is just like so consistent and like fun, and but it's also like has that musicality to it that not a lot of like other like pop albums have. It's just really catchy, really fun, but also like deep. Deep might be the wrong word, but like uh, there's layers to it. There's like really good musicality to it. You could like can't deny it,
Hmm.
and it's
And I think
awesome.
also it has a lot of like creative uses of samples that
Yes,
like I didn't fully appreciate until I kind of delved into the making of it more. And I think that's also something that I kind of carry with me in my music enjoyment. Uh, but yeah, it's
rich is a
a
good word for it. That
yeah,
Azzy, yeah, and satis both are good words for that. Good job.
for sure.
Hell yeah.
That's another point for Miniki.
True. Friend of the show. Friend of me. Uh, so, anything else you want to say? Or
I think that's about it. But yeah, love
what's
the
your favorite
album. I
song on
love
the
that punk
album?
in general. Uh, depends on my mood. I mean, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is like awesome. Um, but besides that, I'm like forgetting the names because I listened to it on vinyl.
Yeah.
So I wasn't seeing the names a lot of the time. But like, the one where it's like, it might not be the right time.
Is
You
that
might not be
something
the
about us?
right one. Yeah, that one.
That
That one
one's
was
awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
My three favorites are Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is just one of my favorite songs of all time. I have like a
Yeah.
big personal connection to that. But One More Time
Yeah.
is such a jam. That's one of my favorites.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
an
Yeah.
underrated one is I don't know how to pronounce it, but Veritas Quo.
Oh no, that one's awesome too.
That
Yeah.
one's so cool. It's instrumental. It's like
Yeah.
kind of ambient. That one's so cool.
Yeah. Ambient is a
Yeah.
good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the words I'll be using in the future
Me
when
too.
describing music. Those are also Face to Face is awesome. I love that song.
Yeah.
I don't know who that vocalist is, but they do a good job.
Every song on it is awesome. Like it's so
Yeah.
hard to pick a favorite, honestly.
Oh, it's a
But
pun for very disco. Veritas Quo?
oh,
Very
very
disco.
dispo.
That's fun.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
So I guess my first album I chose, and this is gonna show me, and I'm gonna do it in chronological order of when I first heard them too. This is gonna kind of expose me for the RYM user that I am,
Oh
but
boy.
it's Spiderland by Slint.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
This I was we were talking a little bit about this uh, before we started, and I said there were two albums that on my list that I know you've heard, and this is one of them because I remember you've heard. I'm right, right? At least that you've
Yes,
heard
yes.
this. Uh,
Only like a few times though, I think.
yeah. Uh, but uh, I remember that like when I was first like soon after I got a Rate Your Music account, and like soon kind of in 2016 when I was really uh like expanding my horizons. This is like one of the first like albums that was kind of outside of my wheelhouse at the time that I really loved.
Yeah.
And uh if I so I said Blonde is my favorite record, and I can't really like it's hard for me to rank all these and say where they would be, but this is definitely number two. This is my definitely my
Mm.
number two.
Wow. Okay.
Uh I think that Spiderland is just like a perfect album front to back, and I mean, I guess For Dinner is kind of like not as mind blowing as the rest of the album because it's just like a little instrumental, but uh, it's also like a great uh like palate cleanser and like kind of preparation for Good Morning Captain, which is like this huge climax.
Hmm.
But like it's just like there's you. This is one of those albums where you can like write an essay about every song and why it's so good, and then they're just like they're these like hard hitting like post rock songs. Some of them are like more like just like post hardcore like mathy, like Breadcrumb Trail, Nosferatu Man. Uh, and then like you get to like Donna Man, which is like my favorite song on the record because that's the one kind of about like social anxiety, and I think it's the best like piece of music about social anxiety ever because the way it like kind of like breaks down and like the whole thing is really quiet, and then the whole thing is him like walking outside of the party and like being like really anxious, like that's the story the song's telling, and then like the music starts to get really tense when he walks back into the party, and like he's like it describes like everyone staring at him, and it's like it's such a chilling song. Washer is unbelievable. Like that's like one of the ones because most of the album the vocalist is kind of doing like a spoken word thing, but that's one of the ones that really like
Hmm.
uh that one is like he's actually singing, and I think he sounds really good on it. And that song is just like that's like essential post rock. For Dinner, like I said, is a instrumental, not as great as the rest, but it's a great palate cleanser and like kind of like a little break from kind of like Washer being this huge emotionally dense song. And then there's Good Morning Captain, which is one of the most legendary songs like ever. Uh, and it has the whole like I mean, as he mentioned it earlier in the chat, like the I miss you like whole breakdown at the end. And it's like one of the most emotional parts of any song ever. Uh, Spiderland is a masterpiece. Like I think like some people will try to like discredit it. I guess
Mm.
just because it's like with the internet and like Rate Your Music and 4chan and like all that shit. Like this album has kind of like gotten it's like Loveless in that way. It's kind of gotten like this reputation to it. It's like oh like weird internet nerds love this album, but like
Yeah,
this album was hugely influential and like I is this I think Steve Albini he worked on one of them, one of their albums. But like it's just so good and like it's one of those rare albums where every time I listen to it, I think it gets better. It's I've never like it's never like dipped in quality for me. I've never been like, oh, this isn't as good as I once remembered. It always blows my mind every time I hear it. So yeah,
dang.
Spiderland.
Yeah, you're definitely inspiring me to re-listen to it because I remember listening to it and enjoying it and like yeah, like not having nearly as much to say about it,
Yeah,
but still enjoying it. I mean, yeah, I a good one.
yeah.
And I think my next pick is actually a pretty good compliment to that one. But
Yeah, you're good. You're good to go ahead.
all right. Well, my next album, the next one that I listened to that changed my tastes and the way I listen to music is none other than In the Aeroplane Under the Sea
Yeah, this
by
is
Neutral Milk Hotel.
that's another 4chan Rate Your Music classic,
Yeah.
but also just like absolutely like classic album. But this is
Yeah.
your pick, so you go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll just say I think when I first listened to this album, so okay, let me try and just go back a bit. So I think I got Discovery and my record player in like middle school or something like that. And then it wasn't until high school that, I mean, I was like a fan of music and stuff before that, but I think it was more pop. I'd listen to like Radiohead or something. That was like the craziest thing I'd listen to at that point. But I remember I was going on an airplane for some reason, or I was going on a flight somewhere, and I remember someone saying, "This is one of the best albums of all time." And I like listened to it on the airplane, and I was like, it was all right. It was pretty good, I guess. And like not really I don't know. It didn't, I wasn't giving it my full attention. And like, I just kind of was like listening to the sounds, but not really listening to what was being said, or I didn't really have any context for it either. But I don't know. I thought it was like fine. And then like every time I listened to it, oh yeah, I guess I listened to it in an airplane over the sea. But uh every time I listened to it after that, I think I like exponentially enjoyed it more. Especially as I kind of like learn more about what's his name, Jeff Mangum, and kind of the lore behind a lot of the album and what is being sung in it. And yeah, I like came to a point where like I mean I think it's like it literally like only my appreciation and enjoyment of it only went up. And like even now every time like I can't listen to it without having like an extremely strong emotional reaction to it because it's just like uh I don't know. It's just so beautiful. It has so many nice complementary sounds of like the fuzzy guitar and like the little I forget the name of the instrument that they use, but the one that sounds like
I know what you're talking
like
about. I don't remember the name of
yeah,
it either.
yeah, I mean, there's just like a really nice complement of like the soft singing, the hard guitars, the wall of sound. It just all kind of culminates into something that's really like affecting, as well as the lyrics being like such. Oh yeah, singing saw. Thank you. Um, it I think it just really yeah I really love the aesthetic like the album cover too, and like I don't know if you have it on vinyl, but it has a lot of cool art
Yeah,
on it as well, on the inside and the back. And I don't know, something about the lyrics and like kind of how like obtuse and strange and cryptic they are was really appealing to me like as I listened to it more. Like I think I was before then I was maybe used to listening to music a little bit more passively and like a little bit more like you just kind of let it wash over you or just kind of like as like a background vibe. But I think I just really started diving in more to the lyrics and like what I was listening to as I listened to this album. And yeah, it just is a beautiful memory to me that I love to revisit every now and then.
Yeah, it's one another one of yours that I definitely considered for mine because it is just like it's like an undeniable masterpiece. It's it's so like raw and
Hmm.
like strange and like but it's like beautiful and just like really evocative of just like I remember Micah because this is one of Micah's favorite albums. He told me like just like with the lyrics is just like close your eyes and just like imagine what's happening when like he's singing and it's just like
Yeah,
the imagery is so evocative and like there's songs in here where it's like it's hard to really parse what he's even like talking about because it's the imagery is
yeah,
so strange but like as there's some songs that just like break me because they're like
yeah,
I especially like I remember I think this is one of the only albums I guess like early on in my music listening that made me cry
yeah,
because
me too.
Two-Headed Boy Part 2
Yeah,
hits like a brick.
seriously. Yeah,
It's
like the
like
part when he actually says two-headed boy, like yeah, and the tomatoes and radio wires, like that one is like chilling to me, even
yeah.
though it makes no sense. Like I don't know, it's just so like yeah, like evocative. I don't know.
And just like the whole like I mean like there's something like really mysterious about this record too. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like we know more about it now, but I imagine like when this came out, like people were buying it not knowing who Jeff Mangum is, or like anything about not knowing like the kind of like Anne Frank stuff, anything like
Hmm.
that. Just like listening to it and being like, this is strange, but like so beautiful. And like this one kind of lives in a similar space as like Spiderland or like I said, Loveless, where it is like kind of memed and like that sucks because it's just a great album and like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so good and it kind of sucks that some of these albums have that context to it, but you know, the internet does that. And yeah,
Totally.
this is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah. And yeah, I just think uh yeah, I think too, even with like the Anne Frank stuff, like even though that's like I remember when I listened to it the first time and I was like, what the hell? And then like someone told me that, I'm like, oh, it all makes sense now. And then I like listened to it, I'm like, no, it
No, no,
doesn't.
it doesn't make sense.
Like like it's kind of like one thread or like one thing that you can kind of see influence a lot of it, but even still, there's just so many layers and angles to it that are like weird but beautiful, but like nostalgic and affecting. I don't know.
Oh
It's an
yeah.
awesome album. I love it.
Uh, all right. Uh, On to my next one, if you're good
Alrighty,
at that.
go for it.
This one is interesting, but and this is honestly one that I don't listen to that often, but like it's one of the albums I appreciate the most out of any album, and I do love it. So I thought I'd include it here. That is The Velvet Underground and Nico by The Velvet
Ooh,
Underground and Nico. So,
okay.
Lars, have you heard this
Hmm.
album?
I have ages ago, and I liked it, but didn't leave a strong impact on me, I
So
think.
this one I had an interesting arc because I first heard this in like 2016 again when I was first like getting into like music and just kind of listening to the classics.
Hmm.
And I I think I remember straight up hating this record when I first heard it. I thought it was awful. Uh,
Wow.
it's like so it's produced so harshly and it's so noisy that it like even to this day like it's pretty off-putting. Like there are
Hmm.
songs on here that are beautiful and like classics, but like they it's just it's hard to listen to, and that's kind of why it's like I don't listen to it that often, like as a whole. But it's kind of like one of those albums where when you learn more about like music and you listen to more of the classics and more modern records, uh, you appreciate it more because going back to this like this is gonna be such a big statement I'm about to make, but this genuinely might be the most influential album of all time, at least in rock music.
Okay,
Gen
yeah, I don't think.
like alternative rock, punk rock, metal, like even like noise rock, like post-hardcore, all of these just it wouldn't be the same without this album or the Velvet Underground in general. Like their next album, they got even weirder. White Light, White Heat. It has like a 20-minute song about like a brothel. It's like absolutely crazy. But
Mm.
like this album, there's a famous quote, and like it's kind of played out, but like I really think it's kind of shows the impact of the album. Uh, and it's something like the record only sold like 2,000 copies, but every single person who bought the album started a band. It's kind of like
Whoa.
that. It's kind of like that kind of album. It's like
Yeah.
it sold horribly, but like,
Yeah.
but it had that influence, and over the years, now everyone kind of looks at it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's classic, and it's
Yeah.
just like I think it's uh just as a lover of music and like just someone who like really like loves like kind of looking at like the context of things. This is just such like an essential record that yeah, we don't mention what Nico got up to after this. Not a good person. Uh, but like, I mean, I could talk about like all these songs like so like endlessly, but a couple standouts to me like Sunday Morning is just like a that's like a pop song. That's just like a beautiful pop song. It's still produced like the rest of the album. It sounds like weird and raw, but like it's just a beautiful song. Venus and Furs, like this is from 1967. That's like a song about BDSM. And like it's just like that's like crazy like it's like haunting. And then Heroin is one of my favorite songs of all time. I've never tried heroin, but yeah, I just
You
like
have to
that
say that.
I've never tried heroin, but I think that song is probably what heroin feels like. It's probably feels
Yeah.
like that. It
That,
like it's like it just like starts out with kind of like a simple riff, and he's like singing over it. He has like kind of a strange voice, and then like it gets noisier and noisier. More is added to the song, and like it's like a huge crescendo, and like it's like it's like about taking heroin, and it just like has this like rise. It's like a high. It's insane, and like
mm,
just like listening, like, and even like people don't like European Sun. I love that song. Like that song is like just it's like just noise rock, like in 1967. I can't believe this album came out when it did. I
Wait,
really can't.
60? I thought it was 80.
1967,
That's crazy.
like when the
Wow.
Beatles, like before Abbey Road.
Wow.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
insane. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Damn.
Uh,
I
like
I did not know, or I didn't notice that when I first listened to it. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's like
Wow.
it's like I mean, someone said in the chat like they got a song on the Discover Weekly from it and shocked it wasn't from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think same year as Sergeant Pepper, yeah. Uh,
Wow.
it's just absolute and Sergeant Pepper, that's an album I considered for this, but like uh this they're both incredible albums, but like this one I just chose this for like my 60s representation because like so much of the music I love would not like be the same without this album. So much of the music you love would not be the same without this album. It's just like it's like an essential piece of the puzzle in music history, and that's like
Mm.
why I love it so much.
Yeah. Dope.
I think we're definitely going to be over an hour on this episode.
You think so?
Oh
We'll
yeah,
see. We'll see.
which I don't
Uh,
mind because I like
yeah,
talking
I
about
don't
music.
mind. Yeah, we can do whatever the hell we want here. It's our
Yeah,
show.
no FCC
Um,
guidelines or any of that shit.
yeah, no show after us who's waiting in the room next to us.
True.
Uh, okay. Well, I think I can get to my next album then. Actually,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna change the order because I think I have it mixed up slightly as to which one I heard next. So, yeah, I'll just say then My next album uh is Donuts by Jay Dilla.
Yeah, yeah. This is the one. I honestly wasn't 100% sure what you would have picked. I had like ideas. I knew this one was going to be on yours because
Yeah.
we have talked about donuts a lot.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. Go ahead. I don't want to steal your
Yeah.
thunder, but like,
So, okay, I'll say as opposed to in the airplane over the sea where the first time I listened to it, I was kind of like didn't quite get it. I mean, Donuts, the first minute I listened to it, I was just like, wow. Like it just the whole way through, every time I listen to it, it's like I don't know, it just goes down so easy. So I'll say I always had an enjoyment for like hip hop and rap, and I think more like particularly I like the production side of uh rap and hip hop, and I always kind of like gravitated towards like cool instrumentals. Like that was something that I would really appreciate. And I mean, I would say also if I didn't put this on here, I'd probably put something by MF Doom on
yeah,
here. I'll just say that I didn't. But I really do love MF Doom, but I just think this album, Donuts, is just such like concentrated, perfect production, amazing, flowy music that I don't know. It just, I mean, it's not super long. It's what, like 30, 40 minutes or something like that. Um, it just like, I don't know. It's really well done and it just never gets old, never gets weird. Every song is short and to the point and really impactful and different. It's really something to behold. And I don't know. I love it. I like some of Jay Dilla's other stuff too. Um, not as much, but I don't know. This one just feels like lightning in a bottle and like a real like special album that is I don't know. It's just one of a kind. I really like it. Every time I listen to it, uh, it's awesome. And yeah, I would say this is when I was more after in the airplane and over the sea. I was kind of listening more to hip hop kind of stuff, MF Doom, Tyler, that kind of thing. And yeah, I love this album to this day.
yeah. Donuts is just like impressive because it's like there's no guest rapper or anything. Like it doesn't feel the need to do that. It's just like him showing off pretty much and
Hmm.
like just making incredible beats for like it's like a beat tape,
Yeah.
but it flows so well and like also note like it's like really uplifting and like happy
Hmm.
but like also like knowing kind of the context behind the album. You know, Jay
Yeah.
Dilla being on his deathbed while making this album. I think he might have died like the day this album came out.
That's
Uh,
crazy if true.
and like that like makes some of the songs like so impactful. Like Don't Cry,
Hmm.
is so beautiful. And
Yeah.
like I saw a video about it, kind of just like talking about that song, and uh, I like how that song starts with like pretty much just the sample unedited,
Hmm.
like for like 30 seconds, and then like it gets into the crazy beat he does. It's like him like showing like here's what I've got with me. Now I'm gonna show off what I
Yeah.
can do with it. And like that's
Yeah.
kind of like the it's just like I remember recently, do you ever get those like polls on YouTube where it's like, oh, pick one, delete the rest, and it's like rap for rappers? Do you get those on YouTube?
Sometimes. Yeah,
I
I
saw
think
one that
so.
was like, what's the best producer in hip hop? And it
Hmm.
was like him, Madlib, The Alchemist, and Metro Boomin. Four amazing producers.
Hmm.
Uh, I I voted Jay Dilla, and I
Nice.
voted Jay Dilla, and he had like 4% of the vote. And I was like,
It's these days,
I was
bro.
like, I was
It's
just like,
these days.
I was just like, these people haven't heard Donuts. If they listened to Donuts,
Yeah.
they would vote for him.
Yeah.
Like that is just like even though his life was like so short, and like he did produce like stuff for I think like Tribe and like The Roots and Common stuff like
Mhm.
that, like a lot of like jazz rap stuff. But this is just him showing off and like making like such an incredible record with like not like it's not even like flashy or anything. It's just like good music. And like I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. I guess if I'm talking songs that I like, I also like working on it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, that was just like working on it. Like it's so like
It's
yeah, it's like
awesome.
so quotable and memorable. I also really like the song Lightworks. I remember the first time I actually heard this beat was on MF Doom rapped on it
I
in
remember
one of his
this.
later albums.
Is this the one I told
And
you? I told you like
yeah,
I remember this.
yeah. Yeah, I was like, wow, MF Doom's such a good producer. This song is so good. And then I think we talked about the sound effect that's like woo, woo. It's like a
Yeah.
siren thing that appears a lot in this album. And then like I think you're like, that's a Jay Dilla sound. And I'm like, no, it's an MF Doom sound. I don't even know who you're talking about. And then like you I think you showed me that album not long after I had seen it and remember that you said that. And then I heard the instrumental and then I realized
Yeah, he's just rapping
uh,
over it, which is
yeah,
like really cool. And that MF Doom,
yeah,
like MF Doom rapping over it is awesome, and like it's like a great
yeah,
tribute. But like,
for sure.
just it's amazing. It's an amazing album.
Yeah, goaded. But yeah, that's my number three.
Uh,
Yeah, three.
uh, was that three? Yeah, that was three because I'm going into my third.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a little bit. This is the one that I think might be on both of ours.
Okay,
I
let's
mentioned
let's
that
hear it.
there's one that might be on both of ours. I wanted to get a rap album in here because like rap is my favorite
Mm-hmm.
genre, and it is like I could have gone with so many because like I I I was almost gonna put the College Dropout on here, but I kind of didn't want to put I kind of didn't want to put a
Yeah,
Kanye album on
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Like I didn't want to be like praising Kanye for like 5 minutes on here. Uh,
yeah.
his music means a ton to me, but like, and I'll still listen to him, but like, I don't know, like it's,
But
but
I'll be
I,
shaking my head as I listen to it.
yeah, uh, but I went with some rap songs.
Oh,
This is this
lovely
on
choice.
yours?
It's not actually, but
Okay,
I put it on here. I would.
yeah,
I
I
love that
was like,
album.
because I know you love this album, and I know
I love
this
that
is like
album.
kind of an album we bonded over.
Yeah,
I think it
for
came out
sure.
like when we were like probably like friends for like a year or two, and like this is like
Yeah.
uh some rap songs. Uh, it is
God,
interesting
yeah.
that I chose one that is like so recent because this one has not had. I mean, it's not that recent. I mean, it's like 6 years ago, which I guess is kind of a long time ago. Like looking back on it, but like
Mm,
I what like really uh, it's what's so shocking about this album is that it's so short and like
yeah.
this is kind of the this is kind of the first year where that was like starting to really become a thing in music. I mean, this is the year that Kanye dropped Ye and Kids See Ghosts, which are both like the
Oh.
same length. There was like and then like Daytona by Pusha T. Those all were produced by Kanye and came out like 5 weeks, like within a 5 week span. Uh, but like this album, I think Earl's previous album, like I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, it was also pretty short. It was like just under
Hmm.
30 minutes. But this one, what I love about it is that it's tight, it's compact, but like hits you so hard. It's like a
Hmm.
perfect album for its length. It doesn't like it doesn't like really go in like weird tangents or anything. It's just straight to the point. Great weird rap music. And
It's
like
similar to Donuts in that way, I think.
yeah, because all these songs are so short and like I think Shattered Dreams might be the longest song on the album, like the first one. It's not even three
Yeah.
minutes. Like it's
Yeah.
like these are short songs, but it's just something about the production being so like weird and like just abstract mixed with like
Yeah.
it being also like low kind of lo-fi mixed with like Earl's delivery uh and like the lyrics just being like depressing and like they're like I mean we've kind of had like the rise of like emo rap like in the past like 10
Yeah.
years with like XXX and Juice World and Lil Uzi Vert and people like that. But
Mhm.
Lil Peep. But had to mention him because there was someone I was like there's someone I'm forgetting. Uh but I think what's amazing about this album is that it isn't like really like that. It's like because emo rap is a more like I don't know how to describe this, but this isn't like an emo rap album. It's just like him talking about like stuff that's going on in his life and like in like a kind of abstract way, but it's also like very
Mhm.
just depressing and kind of like
It's a
eye-opening.
slightly morose rap
Yeah.
album.
Uh but like there's a kind of like an arc to follow throughout it. And like when it ends with Riot, I think it kind of like ends on kind of an uplifting note, just like
Yeah.
that being like kind of an uplifting instrumental and like being like I think it samples like his dad was in like a funk band and it samples like one of his songs.
Oh,
Uh
that's cool.
but I just think like I mean this is another Odd Future album because like Blonde is my favorite and I think Summer Rap Songs is just an album I've listened to so many times just because it's so short and like it's just like an easy thing to put on. But like it is like it's such a cool album and I appreciate it so much and I think it is his best, but like he has put out other like albums that I love.
For
But
sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's right. I'm running things.
I'm running things.
Yeah, this one's awesome. I love this album a lot as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, easily I think could have made my list. There's like a quality to all these songs. It's very like how do I put it? Like cold weather music. Like
yeah,
there's something sophisticated about the samples, I feel,
yeah.
that makes it kind of different from its contemporaries.
Uh, I would kind of classify this album. I mean, like it's kind of a meme term, but like drumless. That's like the
Hmm.
genre term that's kind of like this vibe of hip hop. That's very like kind of like takes a sample and doesn't like do a lot with it. It will like have like the drums are typically like very like kind of like the drums that were like originally in the sample. Uh, but like there's other rappers that kind of done the style. Like Mike is really good. He kind of took a while to grow on me, but he's really good. And then like West Side Gun kind of rap. He's like a completely different vibe, like in terms of delivery, because he's like a
Mhm.
energetic gangster rapper. But like he raps over kind of similar instrumentals. Uh, but like this album is pioneering, and I think uh, I was saying that like all my albums are acclaimed, but this is the one I can't say is a classic yet, just because it's so more recent. But I think this album will be considered a classic.
Yeah. On that note, I think it's a good segue. But before I segue, actually, just want to shout out Micah. He's the
Micah,
shout out Micah. And you know what? Let's do a quick shout out to everyone. Gage Broberg, shout out to Espen, shout out to the Larter Nation, shout out to Skronkle, Azzy, and Zaf, and everyone
all the
listening to
people.
this, and everyone in the world who's good.
Shout out to
Shout out.
everyone except for Donald Trump, who should
Yes.
not be president.
Yes. Not my president.
Not my president.
Yeah.
Uh, and probably not. I'm not gonna shout. I don't. I'm not gonna shout out Elon Musk because I hate him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Reverse shout out Elon Musk.
reverse shout out. Actually, I'm gonna curse him.
Curse Elon. Curse you, Elon
Curse you, Elon Musk.
Musk.
So yeah. What's your fourth album?
All right, my fourth album. This one is gonna be controversial. But my number four, drum roll please, 1000 Gex.
I knew you were gonna. I had a feeling you were gonna choose this one.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll. I will say I'm not gonna because I'm kind of I'm kind of the hyperpop hater.
Hmm.
Uh, but I'm not gonna push you back on this one because I love this album.
Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll say this is like yeah, probably I guess this is the most contemporary of probably all our albums if your only other one was Earl Sweatshirt. But yeah, this one it is just was like brain exploding album, changed the way I listen to music and really influenced my taste, I think. I remember you specifically introduced this album to me.
I
I
remember your
remember
reaction. You were like, what's going on here?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. I apparently a lot of the best albums I've listened to, the first time I'm like, what's going on here? Um, but yeah, I remember. I don't know if this is the first time you showed it to me, but I think I remember the first time it clicked for me and I talked to you about it. Um, yeah, and I agree, Micah. The first time I heard it, I thought it was just like a meme or like a joke, or that the people who liked it were like being ironic about it in some way. But then it kind of, oh, don't even get me started on PC music.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, PC music, 1000 gex, 100 gex, and like all that, that's just like such a big part of the music that I listen to now. I mean, the we were just talking about Spotify Wrapped. My top artist was AG Cook. I really love. I mean, I feel like it's like not fair to call all that music hyperpop at this point because it feels like hyperpop is kind of turned into something else.
I think 100 gex are kind of like that's like the first like real like hyperpop kind
Yeah.
of stuff. That's
Hmm.
like Sophie is more just like that's like it's she's like her own thing. Uh,
I think
but
they both kind of evolved and like overlapped in many ways over time. But I mean, labels aren't that important. But yeah, I mean, I just think this kind of genre of music of this like elevated pop or like new like future pop, whatever you want to call it. It's like really something that I enjoy. Bubblegum bass, that's a
yeah,
classic. Yeah, people call it. Um, yeah, and I mean, I think this album, yeah, I was saying, I remember when it clicked for me. I think we were at Quad Bucks, the Starbucks in
yeah,
at A&M, and I remember sitting eating my smoked bacon cheddar sandwich and drinking the stuff, and I was like, man, 100 gex is good. Like
yeah.
being like, wow, I get it. Like I get it. It's good. Um, and I think, yeah, I don't know. I think it was taking all these kind of elements of pop that were kind of seen as like cringy or like, especially I think the way that they kind of like mess with like what do you call it? Like auto tune or like vocal like filters and stuff was really like just really changed my mind because I think I was very much of the mindset, maybe not quite so back then, but like a while back, I think there's a point where everyone's like, auto tune sucks. You
Yeah.
use auto tune, you're stupid. Like, that kind of thing. And I don't know. I just think it and a lot of PC music stuff. I think I was kind of between choosing this album or 7G. And I do love 7G a lot, and it's awesome, but I don't think I can call it a top five just because there are a few songs on the album that I'm not as like jazzed about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really uh mind-blowing, genre-defining, genre-altering album that I still love, and I think it's awesome. And I love what's it, 10,000 Gex as well. And I
Yeah, that's a
think
great
I'll
album.
I'll I'll come around to that one. Or like, I think I'll continue to enjoy it and stuff, but I don't know. I think 1,000 Gex was just such a big like moment. It's kind of hard to top it. And yeah, I think in the context of my own music listening history, uh, it's very impactful. So
Yeah.
yeah, love it.
I I've had a complicated relationship with this album in the past. I said I loved
Oh,
it. I do love it.
uh-huh.
I think it's
Okay.
fantastic and like forward thinking and like
Hmm.
influential, but I will say it spawned a bunch of music that I despise. So
Yeah.
so for that I kind of have a bone to pick with it. It's
I
just like
yeah.
oh gone.
I'll just say I think a lot of it. I genuinely think that COVID had a big impact on like hyperpop and that whole space, which I enjoyed. Like I enjoyed even some of the offshoots that were maybe less original or interesting compared to A Thousand Gex. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a time where a lot of people had a lot of time on their hands, and music making was more accessible than it ever has been before. So I think it leads to a lot of people trying to kind of imitate that success to varying levels of epicness.
Uh yeah, it's just like I think like after like a year or two after this album came out, like hyperpop was such an exciting thing. And like I was excited and really enjoying a lot of that stuff. I remember the hyperpop playlist. I remember like listening to that and being like, "Wow, this music is so cool." And then like
Yeah,
it's just like it just got so stale. And like
I think
just
there are some folks who have really been keeping the genre going. Shout out Frost Children, but
but that's kind
yeah,
of what I'm getting into is that like so many of the artists that kind of respond like Jane Remover or Underscores, kind of like the big
yeah,
like original hyperpop artists, just kind of like change the trajectory and like Jane Remover's making like shoegaze now and like Underscores kind of making this like cool like pop rock like alter indie rock kind of thing.
yeah,
They're kind of like they still have the elements of like hyperpop in them to an extent, but like
mhm,
uh it's just like I think this album spawned so many like interesting artists that were inspired by it and then kind of went on to do their own thing that is also like really cool.
mhm,
So, and I remember when I first heard this album because I heard the Sophie album before this, the one
mhm.
that came out. It has a weird title.
Oil of every pearl's on insides.
Yeah. And that
Yeah,
album is fantastic and that album was
yeah,
like blew my mind when I heard it because I was like pop music can sound like this.
yeah,
I remember hearing Immaterial and like
yeah.
being like, this is like, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I didn't
Or
know,
face
like,
shopping.
Face Shopping, and like, there's just
Yeah.
like songs on that album that are, and then like, this is like specifically Immaterial. I remember like listening to this and being like, this is the logical extension of that song. Just like taking
Hmm.
like kind of like the even like kind of just like the hyperbolized version of like that early like 2010s pop and just like
Yeah,
being like really abrasive with it.
yeah,
But like
yeah.
also
Really.
maintaining the catchiness and being like really cheeky and funny. Like I just like I remember like I think it was like there was one song I got on this before I heard this album. There was a song I got on my Discover Weekly. I don't remember which one it was, but I remember hearing part of it and being like, "This sucks." But then I was like, but then part of me was like, something is interesting about this. And then like when I listened to it, I got to Money Machine, and by the time like she does her opening, like and like, hey, you little piss baby,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
I was like dying laughing, and
yeah,
I was sold. I was like, this is
yeah.
awesome. I was just like,
100%.
this is like it's just so like and I hated people who are like, oh, it's like ironically good, it's like a meme. It's
Yeah.
like no, like you can
That's
have
something that I think is interesting too, because I feel like this album is like, I mean, there's like jokes and stuff, but I think it's like so sincere in some ways and like
yeah,
really like sweet in a lot of ways, like particularly like ringtone and like what is it, 800 decibel cloud. Like I don't know, like there's like a lot of like sweet like emotional songs, and it's not like to just kind of reduce it to being like meme music or like joke music is like I don't know, I think that's a refusal to kind of engage with it where it's at.
yeah, it's like genuinely like there's like a lot of heart to this music, and like I think it just like was something that really needed to happen in music and like pop music and kind of like the alternative, like more alternative pop music. And I think it's such a cool album. I don't listen to it as much these days, but I do very much appreciate and like look back at my time listening to this album very fondly.
I'll be honest, I think I do listen to the remix album a bit more than I do listen to the original album of this. But I think that's just because I really like that remix album for all the different kind of people who were in that sphere coming together,
Yeah.
uh, kind of elevating it. But I don't know. I think just for the impact that this album had on me, and like I don't know. I think it has some staying power. I think it's not going anywhere anytime soon, even though a lot of, the people who were immediately influenced by it kind of went off to do their own things. I think this is like a very interesting moment in music that I think, I don't know, I don't think it'll be forgotten soon.
Yeah, I think time will do this one a lot of favors. I think people will look back on this one and be like, that's an awesome album.
Yeah. Well,
And that brings me into my next one.
hmm
Absolutely a certified classic with this one. I'm going
hmm
Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder.
Oh, classic. Yeah.
You've heard this. You've heard this.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I know this is Carter core in my mind. This is one that I always associate with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was pretty late to this one. I listened because like when I was listening to like a lot of like I guess because it's long, it is almost like
hmm
it's almost 2 hours. Uh, I guess that was kind of what turned me off of it when I was like first getting into music. But like I remember, I think I heard this like in 2020, and I listened to it, and I was just like, "This is perfect. It's perfect music." Uh,
Yeah.
and like it's like a double album, and like it's a double album that came with another like 7-inch vinyl with bonus music. Uh,
Mm.
it the bonus tracks like aren't as good as the rest of it. They're still good, but like when we're talking about the double album, the main album is nonstop, just perfect pop, like soul, R&B, funk, so many different genres that are played in together. And the thing about it is that it I mentioned earlier, I don't believe in objectivity in music. Uh,
Mm.
I think it's stupid. But if I was to like look at like the kind of like standards that people use to judge music, like I think this might be the best album of all time.
Well,
Yeah, I think just like in terms of just like being like anyone can enjoy this album. It has universal appeal.
yeah.
Like it has some of the greatest songs of all time. It's got Sir Duke, it's got I Wish. I'm just looking at this. Love's in Need of Love Today is like a fantastic opening track. It has As and Another Star, which are like these huge like Black Man. These are like huge like long pop songs that are just like so it's like there's also like this album is genuinely like progressive at points. Like it's like prog soul. It's like so interesting and like the compositions. Stevie Wonder has a just is unbelievably good at like singing. He plays the harmonica. It's like yeah, Azzy, isn't she lovely? Is just awesome. Like the thing about this album is that there's no other album that brings me joy just like this one. Like I could listen to
Yeah.
this song and I'll just be like uplifted. This any song on this album. And it's not like always like purely happy music. Like there's songs that talk about like the like conscious and talk about serious social issues like Village Ghetto Land or like Black Man. But these songs are also still like uplifting and like hopeful. This is just like purely like it's just humanity, like the best humanity has to offer in music form. It's unbelievable, and like it's just it's just like the best like condensed. It's not condensed. It's very long. It's a behemoth. It's a behemoth of a record. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost a triple album, but like it's Pastime Paradise. How could I forget? Uh, God, what a song! And like that became Gangster's Paradise. I remember I think I played that song for you, Pastime Paradise, and you're like, this song sounds too much like Gangster's Paradise. And I was like, this one came out first. That was fun. That's a funny memory. But no, I love this album, and like I think it's so undeniable, and like just a classic.
Goated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this album. I have listened to it, not to the extent that you have, but literally just out of sheer respect for your opinion, I've always held this album in high regard. Like, even though I haven't really listened to it that much,
It's just
but
like I can't imagine like if you don't like this album, it's like I understand that taste is subjective, but like if you don't like this album, I'm gonna judge you a little. Like a little bit.
yeah,
Like there's gonna be like what's wrong with you? Like this album is like just it's so good. I don't know. It's just like it's one of the best. Stevie Wonder's a legend. He has other amazing albums. Like Intervisions is awesome. But this is his masterpiece and one of the best albums of all time. So yeah.
hell yeah. Uh, yeah, dope album,
Yeah.
classic.
And we're going into your last one.
hmm so before I say my last one, I think I'm gonna do a few honorable mentions.
Okay.
Uh, so I had a few that I wanted to mention. So one would be this might be a little strange, but Vespertine by Bjork.
Oh yeah.
Uh, love that album.
Classic.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, had a similar impact on me. Really think it's cool. Really awesome. Yeah. Another one would be, I already mentioned this, but 7G by A.G. Cook. Love this album. I listen to it like constantly, and I don't know, that album just like every time I listen to it, I feel like it has something new to give me. And my last shout out would be The Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails.
Really?
Uh,
I think I knew
yeah,
you
which is
really
like,
liked that one, but that's surprising that you love that one so much.
yeah, that's a I think it helps that I have it on CD, and sometimes I'll just throw it on and I'm like, hell yeah,
That's
this
a
is so
fantastic
good. Like,
record.
yeah,
That's fantastic.
I don't even listen to Nine Inch Nails that much, and I think I would like their stuff if I got more into them. I mean, I think everything I've heard I've enjoyed, but yeah, that album in particular and like it's kind of like thematic cohesiveness and whatnot is really cool to me. But yeah, my last favorite album, the one that I listened to the most recently and has impacted me a lot, is Selected Ambient Works 85 to 92 by Aphex Twin.
Oh, before you talk about this, I did
Yeah.
want to mention to you, I listened to what is it, Drux? How do you pronounce it?
Oh yeah.
I listened to that for
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
first time recently. That album
Oh
is that's
really?
yeah, it's awesome. Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite Aphex Twin.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that one a lot. I also have that one on CD. Okay, and I want to mention I like Selected Ambient Works a lot, and part of it is because it's like my favorite song to put in my car, and it's like my like I don't know. Uh it was like the soundtrack to college for me.
oh yeah, you played
'Cause
this one a lot.
I played it a lot, and I used to drive people to parties a lot. I was like always DD, because I didn't drink, and I would always play this album in the car. Xtel Crystal would always be playing, and it's just I don't know, every single thing on it is awesome. But I do want to I'll talk more about it, but I just want to say about Drux. I love that album. I do think it's like a little bit more hit or miss for me. Or like I guess
It's
maybe the thing is
long.
like it's long and it's a little bit less like okay, no, I love Richard D. James. I love Richard D. James. And this was hard for me to pick between the two. And I think if I were to just go like on which album is like has more awesome songs maybe, or songs that I think are like cool and good, maybe I would do Richard D. James. But I just think my personal connection to selected ambient works and like kind of its place in my trajectory of music enjoyment is what made me choose it. But yeah, no, Drux, there's just like a few songs on there. I think it's like the varying energy levels in that one that make me kind of just be like, it's like hard to put on, like
It'll
just
be
put
like
on.
really
You know what I
hard,
mean?
be like really hard hitting like drill and bass music, and then it'll just be like this
Yeah.
beautiful piano piece.
Yeah, yeah, April
14th,
19th or 14. Yeah.
sampled by Kanye. Why do I keep bringing up
Yep.
Kanye?
And that one song on there, that's the accordion one that's like blowed up on TikTok now.
Oh, I don't
Uh,
know.
Sorry. But yeah, also did you know that album apparently like the Aphex Twin, Mr. Richard, he had like left a like cassette tape or like no, I think it was like a USB drive with like half of those songs on it on an airplane. And then like after he did that, he was like, "Oh my God, it's only a matter of time till it releases." So he like really hurried to try to get like all these songs together and like release them officially so that people wouldn't like leak it before he could. Um, and I think to me that kind of like uh I don't know. I feel like my feelings on like the like energy levels not being consistent kind of are in line with that story about the album's release, but
Yeah,
I love it nonetheless. I think it's really good. And yeah, every now and then I got to be in a specific kind of mood, but I'll listen
yeah.
to it. But yeah, by contrast, selected ambient works, I think, is an album for everyone. You could put it on at any time. It's very easy listening. And I mean, I think I'll say like this song or this album in general really got me into ambient music, and I think that's kind of the kick I've been on since I really started listening to it is like straight electronic and ambient music like Brian Eno, like all that kind of stuff. That's like I think maybe besides like AG Cook and some PC music stuff. Um you think this album is overrated, bro?
I
Get
think
out of
I
here.
will say
Get out of here.
this album, to what Micah said, this album is
Hmm.
both a grower and one that you will appreciate the more electronic music you've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'll say the first time I listened to it, I didn't think I would have it in like my five favorite albums or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's good. And like I think maybe I also kind of shared your opinion in the sense that like I'd seen the Aphex Twin logo everywhere and like it's like memed and people wear it on shirts. And then I listened to it, I'm like, that's what this is all about? Like a good album, but like everyone likes the symbol because of this. But I think not a huge. All right, name them. Name your top 10 right now, buddy. Um but yeah, I think this one I think what I like about it too is just kind of its like playfulness. Like I think the title kind of implies it's just like a collection of a bunch of songs that Mr. James here made over time. And I think there's just something really fun and playful about it. I think it's interesting too that like a lot of these songs like we'll never have the full quality of them because apparently like a lot of them were put on tapes that like his cat scratched or something, so you can hear
Really?
some like artifacts of it in the final song because a lot of them he like copied over to the album. But yeah, I don't know, it's just very playful, fun ambient music. I mean, I don't even know if it's technically ambient.
Like
Like
ambient
some of it is a
techno.
yeah, it's a little maybe more upbeat than like your average. ambient album, but it's just a really nice listen and really, really got me into electronic music and this kind of IDM, if you
Yeah.
will. It's yeah, I don't know, it's really cool for all of its playfulness and silliness and being a compilation, I guess. I think it's more than the sum of its parts in that way. And yeah, I just have this strong personal connection to it, so I love it. I think it's awesome.
I think that it's probably the one out of yours that I've spent the least amount of time with. I've
Hmm.
listened to it a few times and I really appreciate it. And like Aphex Twin is like I kind of appreciate him more as an artist than I like listening to his music.
Hmm.
'Cause he has like such an interesting persona to him. Like, you'll watch his like
Yeah.
music videos and they're super like weird, but also like
Some of them
really
are
funny.
really messed up too. There's like one that I saw, like there's like a content warning on YouTube for it. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then I watched it and I was like
Yeah.
it, I, I didn't like it.
Uh,
But yeah,
I will, and when it comes to like IDM, I'd probably rather listen to like Boards of Canada or like Autechre. Just
I
like as
like
a
them a lot. Yeah,
yeah, Autechre is awesome, and I almost put uh
it was not Window Liquor. It was not Window
I
Liquor. Fun
um
fact.
I considered putting Exi by Autechre on here because that album like blew my mind when I heard it. I think that's one I told you to listen to. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it because their album titles are weird. But that album's awesome. But yeah, I think like what's just so amazing about Select Ambient Works is that like it's 85 to 92, so much of this stuff is like recorded in the 80s. And like that's
Yeah,
insane. This is
yeah,
so
yeah. No kidding.
futuristic. It's
Yeah.
almost like it's almost like kind of like the Velvet Underground, kind of like of like electronic music, how it's like how did this come
Hmm.
out?
Yeah.
How did this come out when it did? Like I don't know,
Yeah.
like it's crazy and like really predictive of like and like it really inspired Radiohead like on like Kid
Hmm.
A. Like there's songs
Yeah.
on Kid A that sound like Aphex Twin songs like in the instrumental. Like and that's so
Yeah.
cool. And just like I don't listen to Aphex Twin a ton, but just like the influence of his stuff is like so massive and just I have a lot of appreciation for him.
Yeah. I think he's been in my top three artists for maybe like the last like 2 to 4 years or something like that. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's just at least for a time there. I haven't listened to him so much in like the last few months, I think. But when I was listening to him like constantly, I think something I liked about him, and I like a lot of IDM. I like Boards of Canada. I like music. I don't know if you've heard them. Like
I know
Mew spelled like
I know what you're
yeah.
talking about, yeah.
And other
I like music too.
contemporaries. Yeah,
I
I
really
like
like
music. Um, but I think the thing about Aphex Twin is he just like scratches an itch that like no other artist does.
Yeah.
Like every one of his songs is unique. I mean, Richard D. James, I think especially there's like a lot of really unique songs on there that there's nothing else like it. And it's
Yeah.
like if I want to listen to Aphex Twin, if I want to listen to Selected Ambient Works, like I can listen to other IDM and it'll be kind of the same, but it's like nothing beats Selected Ambient Works and even the sequel Selected Ambient Works. That one's like actually more properly ambient, I feel like.
I haven't actually heard that one.
It's good. I
People love it, I know
definitely
that.
yeah, I really like it. It's a different vibe in that it's a little less dancey and a little more like this is like a random fun fact because I'm full of Aphex Twin fun facts apparently, but the second Ambient Works album he said he produced in his dreams. Like he would he would make songs while like lucid dreaming and then try to replicate it in real life or something like that, which I think is awesome. Like I don't,
Like
and it
Yesterday
like
by the Beatles.
wait, really?
Yeah, so Paul McCartney, I think that might be an urban legend though. I know, I think Paul McCartney said that song, like the melody of that song came to him in a dream.
Mm. Yeah, no, that I don't know how to explain it, but with Sucked It In Me it works too. It feels more like it's less like oh like divine inspiration and more like Lynchian like strange, quiet, empty dream world music. Like it's got a quality to it that's very unique and I appreciate in its own right. But yeah, I think with Selected Enemy it works one, Richard D. James and other albums of his. Even his most recent uh album or EP was really good, I think. Yeah, I just love this album. I love Aphex Twin, love electronic music, and yeah, I'd say that's kind of the trajectory I've been on uh since college. But I'm sure it'll change again in the future. But
Yeah, shout out
yeah,
FX Twin, shout out electronic music, shout out electronics, shout out music.
shout out music and Aw Decker.
True. So we're going into my last one. I guess I'll list a few honorable mentions just because you did. Uh, so uh, I there's there's artists that I appreciate more as like artists as a whole than like I love any particular album of theirs. So like some of my
Hmm.
favorite bands, like I was gonna include Song Tongs on here, just because
Yeah,
that's my favorite
yeah,
Animal Collective album, but I didn't. I ended up not doing that.
it's a
But
good
I
one.
love that album. Like I said, the College Dropout I considered, but he Kanye. But not Kanye. Micah actually listed his electronic
Dude, Kid
albums.
A is not an electronic album.
It is to an extent.
To an extent.
Uh, sh-
Vespertine? Brad? You're kidding!
those aren't like that's like they're electronic albums, but not really. Not like the same like they're not the same like kind of electronic. Shaking of the
That
Habitual though, that album's awesome. If you haven't heard that one,
I haven't heard that. I'll give it a listen though.
yeah, definitely by the Knife. That album is so good. Uh, but uh, yeah, I considered Lonesome Crowded West by Modest Mouse because they're one of my favorite bands.
That
Uh,
I you always had the Modest Mouse shirt. I remember
yeah,
that in high school.
yeah,
Even before I knew you, I was like, that's that one person who always wears the Modest Mouse shirts.
yeah. Uh, what else? I considered a Beatles album. There are like three different Beatles albums that I considered. Like I was like maybe White Album, maybe Revolver, maybe Sgt. Pepper's, but I didn't include them. Uh, I considered Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge by My Chemical Romance.
Nice.
That because that was kind of like a weird musical awakening for me, where I kind of like
Hmm.
that's kind of when like my elitism started to go away in music.
Yeah.
And when I
Yeah.
listened to that, because I was just like, this just slaps so hard. Uh,
Yeah.
but like others I considered, I would have put like Death Consciousness by Have a Nice Life or like Soundtracks for the Blind by Swans. But
Oh, I was actually going to mention that one too. Soundtracks for the Blind.
uh,
But we had enough Mucore representation, I
yeah,
think.
I was like, I have Spiderland. Like, I feel like these like kind of fill and sit in that space a little bit. So I was like, I don't really
Yeah.
need to include these if I have Spiderland. Uh, what was it? For a weird one, I almost said Instruments Disorder by the Ghetto Giddy Gay Gay Gay.
Hmm.
Which I think I've told you about, but that album, that's one that was kind of revolutionary. It's like Japanese like noisecore. I love
Interesting.
that band. They're one of my favorite bands, and they like have such an interesting they have such an interesting history. I would really recommend looking into them because they're awesome. But yeah, and I guess for some rap albums, I considered Uh, Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys was one
Mm.
I considered, and there was like one I oh, and Mr. Thug Isolation. It's the last one.
Nice. That's also a classic of yours.
Yeah.
I remember you spinning that one in the dorm room
Oh yeah.
every
Uh,
single day.
that one, like I don't love it the same way I did like at that time, but absolutely amazing album. So yeah,
Nice.
I that's some albums that I considered.
All right.
So
Let's
now,
hear it then. Your
uh,
favorite album that's also the best album of all time.
I will say, okay, this one is probably the biggest curveball
Oh, okay.
that I have here, and that is Jane Doe by Converge.
Whoa.
Oh, well, there's something when I searched it. Uh, so
Uh-oh.
have you heard this album?
I have not. Or maybe I did, but I don't remember if I did.
So this is Converge is a metalcore slash mathcore band. Uh, Micah, I mentioned that I didn't put Blonde on here because we did a whole episode on it. So I
Hmm.
just decided not to mention it. But that is my favorite album. Uh, Jane Doe, I included this because there's a lot of albums I like more than this one, but I wanted to include like some metal rep in here because like,
Hmm.
and especially like metalcore or like grindcore or stuff like that, kind of like fast screamy music. Uh,
Yeah.
that was like 2021. I think when I was first starting to get to know Azzy too. Uh, that was like such a important genre for me. I think grindcore was my top genre on Spotify that year, which I was like so proud of.
Whoa.
I was like, that's so cool. But but Jane Doe is my favorite metal album of all time, and I actually read what was Matthew's show like liner notes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was on his show and we talked about this album like a
Mm.
few years ago, like senior year, and I think what Azzy said, this being one of the most cathartic albums ever, I think that's the perfect word for like music like this. That's so cathartic. It's just like pure anger, like captured
Mm.
in music form. Like the first song is like 1 minute, and like but it's like so like explosive and like in your face that it feels like a complete song. Like
Yeah.
it feels like a 4 minute song smashed into a 1 minute song, and it's so cool. And then like like most of it is like metalcore type stuff, but then you get into like more like sludge metal songs like Hell to Pay, which is probably my favorite song in the album. Just like the way that song builds is so cool. And then like you get
Mm.
like what's the other one that I really love? I'm forgetting the name. Phoenix in Flight is so cool. The title track Jane Doe is awesome. Uh, so many like really cool songs in it, and just like as a whole package, like it's such a satisfying listen. Like
Yeah.
it's hard hitting. I don't remember the vocalist's name off the top of my head, but he's amazing. Uh,
Mr. Verge himself.
yeah, Mr. Verge. Uh, he Jacob Bannon. Yeah, that's his name, Bannendorf. Uh, I actually saw Converge live a few years ago, and
Whoa.
they were awesome. That's like one of the best concerts I've been to. They played Concubine, and I freaked out because I was like so happy.
Whoa.
Uh,
Nice.
but it's hard to like know what to say about this because I guess I don't have like the words for metal as much as I do other genres because like it is more of a recent phenomenon for me that I really love like metal music, but
Mm.
this one just like hits so hard, and I think it's a classic and like essential metal music for people who want to get more into like I guess extreme metal, you could say. Like it's I could see this album being off just with the screaming
That,
vocals.
that's
That
a
could be
funny name, extreme metal.
well, yeah,
Like,
extreme metal.
yeah,
But like this, I think this album is like surprisingly accessible for like that genre, and like I think I think you would probably like it. I think you should give it
I'm
a
definitely
shot.
gonna listen to it. I'm definitely gonna listen to it after this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it hits so hard, and I love it. Yeah, uh,
awesome.
yeah.
That was awesome.
So true. And God, I love this episode. This was so fun.
Yeah, fun, good time. Yeah, I loved all those albums. I'm gonna be listening to a lot of albums that y'all mentioned, both you and some of the ones that Micah mentioned in his top 10 there, and other ones. Yeah, just like a lot of good music, a lot of good music. It's like these are the things that make me like music. Like
I
there's just so many awesome things
Yeah,
that are.
and I will say I need to
Mm,
listen. I haven't listened to 7G in full. I will admit. So I will be doing
mm,
that soon because it is a long album. So that's
yeah,
you should do this
it's
with movies.
yeah. Well, we did.
We did in like the K and
Yeah,
M days. I don't even
yeah,
my five favorites have probably changed a little bit, but like
yeah. Mine
we could do
too.
that episode again. We could like
Sure,
redo it sometime.
sure.
Uh,
And bring Nick for it,
Nick on.
so
Oh yeah,
we have some completely fresh things on there,
yeah.
uh,
I imagine
possibly.
yours has
But,
changed a lot because you watched a lot of you've watched more movies than I have in like the
eh,
past few years.
I've been watching shows a lot,
Yeah.
uh, and I have seen like some movies, but yeah, I'm not on my movie grind as much. Oh, and you know what? While I'm shouting stuff out, I just wanted to mention two other albums that I like because I thought of them while you were talking. Um, Specifically, Speed Run by Frost Children. It's a banger one and like kind of more modern-y hyper pop. But it's not really hyper pop. It's like electronic, kind of pop punky. Super fun, super dope. And two is Grave Chimera by Strawberry Hospital.
Oh, that's a good one. I think that's the one I heard.
Yeah, really good album. Smaller Texas artist whom I'm a big fan of. And their music is goated. And I'm also, fun fact, in their profile picture for Spotify, or like in their like when you click on like more on the artist, I'm in that picture. So just a
Really?
fun fact for you.
Oh, did
Yeah.
you see them live?
Yes, I did. And it
That's
was really,
cool.
really, really good. It was, yeah, one of my favorite concerts, I think, that I went to. I love Strawberry Hospital. And yeah, a lot of awesome music, a lot of awesome discussion. Oh, these predictions.
Micah's are
Yeah.
weird. What? It's just It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite movie.
Yeah,
I don't know
this
why
is
The
known.
Matrix is in there. I mean, like I love The Matrix, but like why is that?
Yeah.
I literally don't understand why. Like, I get the other ones.
SpongeBob
Like
movie though.
I mean, come on, man.
That's
SpongeBob movie
hilarious.
is classic. I guess uh, one other album that I do want to mention that I forgot to mention is Cutie Marks by by Violet Pony.
Hmm.
Uh,
I honestly thought you were gonna say that for one of them because I know that's or at least an honorable mention. I was surprised.
yeah, I thought about it. She also has like four other albums that I think are like among my favorites. I really love her
Yeah.
music, and like
Hmm.
she is the person that and that album are what made me into the degenerate brony that I am today. Uh, but
That's the spirit.
but yeah, that album was it's just like it's just like a great like electronic kind of pop album. Like there's a lot of different influences. I mean, there's like hyper pop stuff in there. I do need to watch more MLP. I was thinking of watching some this weekend. Uh, yeah, I love that album so much.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Micah. I'd like to hear these. These are all good albums.
Yeah, these are all really good picks. Carrie and Lowell is among my favorites, but I probably wouldn't have quite put it in my top
Illinois,
five.
Illinois, Illinois.
Also, Age
That's
of
the one I like.
Ads. Age of Ads is so
I
good.
I I think I listened to that once back in my era of renting CDs from the library. But I only listened to half of it, and I remember it like I was like, oh, that was really good. But then I like didn't finish it because I only listened to it when I was driving to Abby's place.
That album is
But
more like electronic. It's like a different
really,
direction for Sufjan Stevens, but like
I'll give it
it's
putting
so
that on the
good.
list right now.
It has a 20-minute song at the end. Impossible
Whoa,
Soul. It's so cool.
yeah,
Oh
Sufjan's
yeah.
a goat.
Yeah, Carrie and Lowell is that's an album that can. Oh God. Okay, one more album.
What? Okay,
And
okay.
and this is actually one I straight up can't listen to anymore. Because it makes me so emotional.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah,
is Hi, How Are You by Daniel Johnston.
yeah, that makes
Uh,
sense.
I can't listen to it anymore. I just
Yeah.
can't. I break down every time I listen to that album. He's my favorite
Oh,
songwriter. He's my favorite songwriter of all time. His music means a lot to me, and I think like his death, out of like, I guess celebrity is kind of a big word for him, but like out of like any like famous person's death, that uh that album, that like death hit me so hard, and
yeah,
I think like just a one of a kind songwriter. So shout out to him.
yeah. Shouts out. I think this episode proves it's very hard to just pick a few things as like
Yeah,
awesome music because there's so much good music.
yeah,
Too much good music.
uh,
Uh, but yeah.
yeah. Thank you all for listening.
Hmm.
I, yeah, I had a really fun time with this episode. Uh, it was really fun, and I really liked talking with the chat in this episode. Thank you to everyone who was like engaged on this episode. This is so fun. Yeah.
Shouts out to each and every one of you.
Hell yeah.
Uh, yeah. We'll be back next week, same time. Uh, talking about something.
Yeah?
Hmm.
Hell yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, everybody. So long, live long and prosper, and have a good week.
yes. All right. Uh, have a good one. See y'all next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.